Alright, I just wanted to go over the balance changes. I'm not going to read straight off of here. I actually took some notes of my own. And I want to just go over the ones that I personally am focusing on. So first off, with the Amazon Impale, it's now going to be uninterruptible, as well as slowing the target, and it's always going to hit. I think they should have added increased attack speed to this, because the breakpoints for hitting with this attack are very, very slow. You almost need like 300 IAS to hit the max like breakpoint, so I think this is going to be a really slow attack, and I don't think it's going to do enough damage to choose it over like Charge Strike or something. Fend, I'm really interested in Fend, because I think that with the attack speed increased by 100, Fend already has a crazy attack speed, and I actually have a build where I have Headhunter's Glory with some IAS in it, and then a 45 IAS helmet on, and I think that Fend is going to be insane. At that point, Fend will be crazy, especially if you have like some Drax or something like that on. You're going to be able to jump into the middle of the crowd. Now, the actual damage that it does, that's probably going to be another story. It looks like overall the Assassin's getting a lot of... the Amazon. It looks like overall the Amazon's going to be getting a lot of good improvements, though. I'm really, really curious about Plague Javelin, where it says that the poison duration is now fixed at 3 seconds. Is that a nerf or a buff? Because if it's all of that damage applying over 3 seconds, Plague Javelin's going to be the new meta for cows and for everything, because it's going to kill it. It's going to drop everything so fast if Plague Javelin is putting all of that damage over the course of 3 seconds as opposed to stretching it out. So we'll have to see about that. That could be meta changing for sure. The dodge and avoid, they're going to be changing dodge and avoid, and now they're going to be able, like, where you can interrupt them. So now the previous reasons for not using them are basically not there anymore. Now you can use them. I may not use them still because I don't feel like I need them, but they could be beneficial, and that could be a game changer for PvP for real. I think Valkyrie has some improvements to it. Much lower casting delay. And then one thing I'm noticing through a lot of these patch notes is casting delay will no longer share its cooldown with other skills. That's where, like, if you do like a quick skill or whatever, you hit one of your hotkeys to do a different skill, now that other skill is not going to have a delay based off the other thing. Which would be cool. I think it would be cool if they did that with Barbarian, where you can hit potions in the middle of a whirlwind or something like that. But that's not a change that they made. Magic Arrow. They said Magic Arrow increased the amount of physical damage converted to magic damage for base level and per level. I'm curious how much it did change, because that could be really good. That's a very nice buff. Guided Arrow got a good buff too. So I think Magic Arrow is going to be a much better boss killer now than it was previously. It's not going to be like meta or anything, but if you want to run strictly Boazon without a Jav on swap or anything like that, it's going to really, really give you a nice boost. Hopefully the increased amount of physical damage converted to magical damage is going to be a pretty solid amount. Strafe is basically 25% stronger, so now Strafe is going to give you the full damage of your weapon and increased attack rating, which is really nice as well. Even though I never really notice attack rating issues while using Strafe, probably because it's just shooting so fast. But yeah, I love Strafe. I love Strafe with like an Atmos Scarab because it procs all the time. I'm not really too interested in all the other ones that they're changing, but it looks like overall everything's getting a pretty nice buff. Then when we come to the Assassin, I'm actually really disappointed, because it looks like Dragon Talon is getting nerfed into the ground, as well as some of these other martial arts skills that previously always would hit. You're going to have to charge them up and I think you have like 5 charges or something like that. So I'm thinking, you know, when I fight Bale, it usually only takes a couple kicks, like a couple series of the 7 kicks to take him down, maybe like 3 or 4. So it may not be a game changer, but it may be a game changer on higher players count. And it also may be a game changer in general because, you know, you're going to have to charge up during the Bale waves and save that for when you get to Bale. It's going to make it more inconvenient, put it that way. It's going to also make it to where I think it's going to be harder to have a trap sin that also uses kicks, or also because you're going to have to use kicks and then some other type of skill to charge it up. So I don't really like that change. I really feel like, but it is what it is too, because the traps or the kick sin's always been pretty overpowered ever since they made it always hit, because it wasn't always like that. Let's see. The Barbarian, see, now consumes only 1 of each martial arts charge when cast. So let me make sure, let me check that. I just want to make sure so I'm not wrong how many charges it has. I think it's either 3 or 5. Nobody really up until this point recently really charges it up. So I think it's just going to be a big nerf in my opinion on that end. All right. All the traps and everything look like they're going to be getting a pretty nice buff to all the traps. So I mean, I might wind up just doing mainly traps with my assassin, or I'm gonna have to switch something up and I'm gonna have to use one of the other skills in order to charge up my Dragon Talon. Let me see. Because really before, what it was with the Dragon Talon is you're just basically taking advantage of your crushing blow and the fact that the enemy can't be missed by your attack, and then you'll use something else such as like a Storm Lash or like a Schaefer's Hammer to deliver a lot of static field as well, in addition to the crushing blow, and then like an Atmos Scarab or something, so you just amp damage him. But I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. For the Barbarian, it looks like the Singer Barb is going to be a lot more powerful. Basically a 30% buff. Damage increased by 30%. Battle command duration is getting a buff as well. I'm wondering, is that going to affect Call to Arms? So if that's the case, Call to Arms is going to be improved as well. Twister is getting a buff, it looks like, for the Druid, so that's also potentially going to improve Carrion Wind Ring, which I actually recently got a perfect one with 9 life leech. So Carrion Wind Ring is going to be better now too, which I'm really happy about. Love that ring. For the Paladin, all of these, I would definitely highly suggest to look over all of these patch notes and everything yourself, because some of them you may be more interested in than me. I'm just mentioning the ones that I think are like massive potential game changers. But there's a lot of good buffs for the Druid overall. The Druid has a lot of improvements, especially if you're a furry, especially if you're a Fury Druid. and you want to do like Ubers or something, looks like he's getting a good attack rating buff amongst some other things, like ways that your increased attack speed applies to werewolf form. So that's going to be really good. I'm not really too interested in the Necromancer changes because I'm mainly a poison Necromancer, but I'm glad to announce that they're not going to like ruin PvP with Bone Spear, because they could have really done that, overpowered and really killed the balance of PvP. So I'm glad that they kind of controlled themselves when it came to this and only buffed it basically by 1%, or I guess 4% if you're using all of the synergies. Curses weaken. I like that they improved weaken, because now those soul drainer gloves are going to be a lot better. I've never tried soul drainers in PvP or something, but that could actually be something cool. The Paladin, the auras, it looks like all of the auras are getting stronger for the Paladin. And then it looks like thorns. Honestly, after looking at all this, aura no longer returns a percentage of damage when hit. Now the aura will deal a flat amount of damage when the aura affected targets are attacked. For thorns, how much flat damage? You know what I mean? Like thorns could be flat damage, I think, of grief. And so thorns could be really crazy. Another thing, they said they're going to have a Thorns Mercenary now too. So, I mean, thorns could be the go-to aura now for Paladins. Honestly, if you're like a zealot or whatever, because you can still try to reach fairly high IAS breakpoint or something with the Phase Blade or a Berserker Axe or something. Attack fast enough, but if that flat damage is just nuts on the thorns, you know, there's no telling. We'll have to see. But it looks like all of the auras, so using Dream Rune Word and other things, are going to be stronger, because there's going to be a distance-based damage increase based on how far you are away from the enemy. So you can literally get double damage on your auras now, which is pretty huge. So I might not be using Conviction anymore on my Zealer, which I'm mainly using just for the negative enemy defense. I might be going Thorns. We'll have to see. I'm going to do a lot of testing come Tuesday and put a lot of videos out related to that. Fist of Heavens looks like it's going to be really good. Fist of Heavens might be overpowered on PvP now, like, because that's a little bit over half. That's like a 60%. It is a 60% reduction in the casting delay, which is going to be pretty cool for Fist of Heavens. I don't really see it as a good thing for PvM, but for PvP, I think Fist of Heavens could be really overpowered now, potentially. Maybe not. It really probably comes down to the play style, the matchups, and all those other factors that are big in PvP. I'm not really a very big PvP player, but I'm just kind of theorizing in my head how it could change things. One thing for the Sorceress that I saw, looks like she gets a lot of pretty decent buffs, but the one that sticks out to me is that Nova is now getting a synergy added to Static Field, which I love Nova. I use a 200 FCR Lightning Sorceress, and I use Nova a lot because I play on Players 1. So when I'm doing like Summoner runs or Countess runs, I like to just teleport there real fast and just spam Nova over and over again and take out the whole crowd around the key holder. That's usually what I do. Usually use Nova, and then for stronger enemies, or if I want to take them out faster, I'll use Lightning. But I like this buff to Nova. Excited to see just how much that it can possibly increase the damage. It's not going to make it anywhere near as damaging as Lightning or even Charged Strike or something, but at the same time, Charged Bolt, I mean, But I think at the same time, Nova's going to just be that much more viable. It's going to kill the enemies that much more faster if you're somebody who farms on Players 1 on Battle.net, just like me. Let's see what else. Hydra casting delay removed. That's massive for the Hydra. And limited max number of Hydra groups to 6. So I guess it wasn't limited before, it was limited by the casting delay, which is kind of crazy. So technically you could probably, actually you couldn't really do anything. I was gonna say you could make a hero edited something and cast a shit ton of Hydras, but I don't think that's possible right now because of the casting delay. But they covered their ground because they limited it to 6. So technically you would have been able to, if they didn't limit the number, then you would have been able to just spam a ton of Hydras all over the place based off the way that it works within the game. I like that. And then they're getting a little bit more powerful, but not too much more powerful on the Hydras. But I like the casting delay removed. That's pretty big for the Hydras. Alright, the Mercenaries. I'm kind of excited about them adding freezing arrow, because I think that could be really beneficial if you've got like a faith merc, or if you've even got a mist mercenary. Both of those could be really cool. Act 2, the one that I'm the most excited about is the Thorns mercenary. Again, depending on what that flat damage increase is going to be like, I really think a Thorns mercenary could be really, really strong. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to be like. I think that a Thorns mercenary could be really cool for maybe my Zeal Paladin or something, or for a Boazon or something like that. Who knows? I gotta see how that's gonna go. Maybe even for my Barbarian or something. I've been recently using a Blessed Aim mercenary a lot because it really helps out when I get to bosses and stuff to have that much more attack rating. But I recently started using 4-piece IK set, so I have a really high attack rating already, especially if I enchant or something like that. So that's going to allow me to really play around more with the mercenary choices. This is one that I'm really excited about too, but I'm not sure how viable it's going to be. An Act 3 Fire Mercenary with enchant. I'm curious what level that the Act 3 Fire Mercenary is going to be, like what level the enchant, because he can cast enchant on himself, the player, and nearby allies. So I'm curious about that. But even more excited about Static Field. The Lightning Act 3 Mercenary is going to be casting Static Field. That's actually pretty huge. I think that's probably the best out of the Act 3 ones. I think that's going to be really cool. You could have Static Field, and then maybe if you can somehow find a way to get like Medusa's Gaze on one of these Act 3 mercenaries to where they're getting hit and they're casting lower resist, that could be huge. That could really be huge for casters and stuff like that. Even like a Trapsin or something like that. Like you got an Act 3 mercenary, he's casting Static Field and he's getting hit and he's casting lower resist. That could really be cool. It's not going to be quite as powerful as, say, an Infinity mercenary or something like that, but I think that'll be really cool. And last but not least, Act 5 mercenary. Thing that I think will be really cool is that they said they added Battle Cry. So I think with them adding Battle Cry, that could really be beneficial, because that's going to lower the enemy's physical resistance and defense. So I think Battle Cry could really be cool for like a Zeal Paladin using Conviction or something. Just lower their defense that much more. That's all for all of the patch notes and everything like that. I've looked over all the rune words, and there's been a lot of videos out about those, so I'm not going to talk too much about those. The Obsession Staff seems pretty cool. I don't know why they would make it indestructible, but then not also have some type of enhanced damage on it. I don't really agree with that. I think they should have had some enhanced damage, but I'm thinking maybe that they thought that would have made it overpowered. So I'm thinking people are going to use this just to knock back the enemies when they get too close and stuff. But I'm not too sure that it's going to take the place of a shield and a wand, in my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that. It might have been a lot more enticing if it was increase maximum mana 15 to 30 instead of regenerate mana. But then again, that might have been considered overpowered. You guys let me know. Everybody, if you watched this far into the video, I appreciate it, and everybody have a great day. This is going to be the cube recipes too for upgrading, like Death's Sash and certain other things are going to be really cool too. I'm curious to see which one of the set items, maybe even some of the set weapons, that are now going to be viable choices that previously weren't. So yeah, that's about it for me. Everybody have a good one. Take it easy, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.